Alright, so part 2 of the adrenal gland, we're going to talk about the adrenal medulla. As I mentioned in the last video, that maroonish portion in there, that inside portion, is called the adrenal medulla, and that produces other hormones different than the adrenal cortex. So the primary hormones produced by the adrenal medulla are going to be epinephrine and norepinephrine. Epinephrine is actually adrenaline, and norepinephrine is noradrenaline. In anatomy, we always call it epinephrine, norepinephrine. Sometimes in exercise circles, you'll hear it called adrenaline, things like that. But we really don't use that terminology much when it comes to anatomy. So epinephrine is produced about 80% of the hormone produced by the adrenal medulla. Norepinephrine is about 20%. Now these are your sympathetic nervous system hormones. So they are your fight or flight hormones. So they're going to do some of the things that you can generally think about when you think about fight or flight. They're going to bronchodilate, that means open up the tubes in the lungs called the bronchioles, so they're going to open those up so you get more oxygen. They're going to vasoconstrict, which means they're going to constrict the blood vessels, and what that's going to do is actually raise the overall systemic or body-wide blood pressure. It's going to increase the heart rate. It's going to dump sugar into the blood because, again, we use glucose as our primary source of ATP, which is our cellular energy. And so it's going to do a number of those things. And so it also increase heart contractility, and we can kind of keep going. But when we divide, a little bit more, when we divide out, more of the roles and responsibilities of each, epinephrine is going to be more responsible for shuttling blood to skeletal muscles and heart muscles, because we're going to actually send more blood to those areas because it's going to be more needed, right? The demand is going to rise. It's also going to be responsible for the bronchodilation and the increase in heart contractility. So those are some of the things you'll see with epinephrine. When we look at norepinephrine, it's going to be more regulating the dilation of the blood vessels, so the vasoconstriction, which is what actually impacts, again, the blood pressure. And so these are the sympathetic nervous system hormones. They get produced anytime you have a fight or flight response. And so, fear or danger, even exercise, all these things are going to activate the sympathetic nervous system. These hormones are going to be produced. They're very, very useful, obviously, in those circumstances. If you have any questions, let me know. Stay strong. I'll see you next time.